Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Poema podcast. I am James Prescott, your host. Welcome back to the show, everyone. And today we have a returning guest, someone on the show earlier in 2025, talking about autism in the workplace. We're going to continue talking about neurodivergence today as well. So, welcome back to the show, Alice Hewson.
Thank you very much for having me again. It's great to be back.
Yes, it is. It's great. Yeah, and I know there was a really positive reception to your episode earlier. So, really important topic because, and I want to talk about neurodivergence more because I think it's important. So, and we're going to kind of explore kind of that area a bit more today, aren't we? So, tell us a bit about what you want to talk to us about today.
Yeah. So as a sort of I've written a book, Neurodiversity in the Workplace, which is kind of like we discussed in my last episode of the podcast around my work around inclusion and supporting neurodivergent people at work and ensuring that your workplace is supportive and is designed in a way that ensures that your neurodivergent people can feel that they belong and that they fit in. And today, sort of like in the last year, I guess, really, I've been reflecting more on what I need to stay well as a neurodivergent person, what supports my well-being, and how I can deal with different difficulties. For example, sort of challenging uncertainty and rejection sensitive dysphoria, which I know a lot of especially
Oh,
ADHD folk experience,
I
to
experience
RSD.
well, I experience that a lot as well. So, that's something we definitely should talk about. Yeah.
And sort of like that kind of packaging that up and understanding, sort of not just what supports me in the workplace and what supports other people in the workplace and how to design inclusive workplaces, which is very much my focus and always has been. But also, how do we take that support outside the workplace and
Mm.
ensure that you've got the tools in your toolbox to be able to navigate difficulties and uncertainty. And I've recently been through redundancy, sort of last year, and it took me a year to find another job. And in that year, I realised the challenges I faced as a neurodivergent people navigating the job market, um, staying well, but also being able to give myself time and give myself permission to do nice things for myself. Because I think when you've been made redundant, your whole focus is I must find another job. I must spend all the hours in the day writing job applications, which isn't sustainable for anybody. So I've really focused this year in what makes me stay well, what makes me feel good, and what brings me joy. And I think it's really important to find those pockets of joy in your life and things that you can really sort of really
Mm.
kind of rely on and lean on a bit. And for me, that's been music. I'm a fiddle player, so I play fiddle. And I've really realised the value of the sort of accessing music communities for me, whether that's playing in sessions or playing in community bands as well. And that's a feeling of kind of belonging, a different kind of belonging and
Yeah.
community. And that's really kind of, that's kind of where I am at the minute in exploring that and
Yeah.
recognizing that.
I think like uncertainty as a neurodivergent person is very difficult. This year for me has been very uncertain because my the original plan for was that I was going to move to America to live with my wife, but then
I remember you saying, I think you
what happened,
mentioned that last time we
yeah,
spoke.
yeah,
Yeah.
then what happened in America happened,
Yeah.
and so we had to change those plans, and that was difficult for both of us for different reasons. But like it meant that ended up moving 3 times in a year, and and then there was all the uncertainty about my wife getting her visa and getting a job and finding somewhere to live together and all these kind of things. Like so, there was a lot of uncertainty and stress and anxiety, and all the time I had a job and I had to try and do my job as well, and it did affect my work. Absolutely, it did. There's no doubt about it. And I think like when you for me, I suppose, as a neurodivergent person, and you'll know this as well, I guess, that when you routine helps, right? When you've got a regular routine in a certain place, in a certain location, whatever, you've got the same journey to work. Uh, like it makes it a lot easier,
Yeah,
right? And my mine changed like 3 times in a year, and that was no good for me, no good for my well being and or my anxiety or my autism. So because you have to keep adapting to different things, and it's really difficult,
yeah,
and it takes a lot of emotional energy that you don't sometimes you don't even realize that you're using it because you
yeah.
just
No, yeah,
when you've
definitely.
learned
No, I
how to
agree.
mask when you learn how to mask like when you're out in the world and cover up for the stresses of things like it doesn't mean it goes anywhere. The stress is still there. It just gets worse. And so, I mean, it must be the same. And I've been made redundant before as well, and I know what that's like. And it's not nice. It's not nice being out there in the world looking for a job, knowing you need money to to pay rent and things like that, and struggling to find a job. And of course, as a neurodivergent person, starting a new job is a challenge because you have to create your safe places, you have to create your routines, you have to and all of that, and new people, new processes, new things. It's all new, so it takes a while to adapt.
Yeah.
Even in my current job, I had an autistic meltdown. I think probably the first month in the job
Hmm.
because it just something just because it
Yeah.
just got to me. There was too much. It was too much new information. I couldn't process it, but we dealt with it really well. My boss is very understanding and has a neurodivergent relative, so he's very supportive. But yeah, like that. So all those kind of changes that happen, all the big transitions that you have, they can be even more stressful for neurodivergent people than they are for they're stressful for anyone.
Yeah.
But if when you're neurodivergent, it's a whole different level of stress, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And sort of on your point of routine, so what I've realised, so when I first lost my job, I was made redundant. It wasn't my fault, and I think that's the point. Like redundancy is never your fault, and people always say that. Like, they say that it's not your fault, but you can internalize a lot, and you can feel that sense of
Mm-hmm.
rejection. And even if people tell you that, oh, it's not your fault, it's just the role that's being made redundant. You are behind that role. You are the person, and redundancy can feel very impersonal, and it can feel very legal and very complicated and confusing with lots of documents to read and lots of information to process and understand and know what your rights are, what you can do, what your options are, and there's lots of people telling you to go to meetings, and it can be very overwhelming.
Mm.
um so there's that process, and that kind of completely throws your routine out of sync of what you're used to do your day to day at work, because now there's this extra stress that you have to suddenly deal with. And when I was first made redundant, and I got up. It was a remote organisation, so my last day was at home at my desk. I didn't have to go anywhere, so I shut my laptop down for the last time, which is very strange. And I didn't have a lot of closure and endings, which I think are really important, especially for neurodivergent people, for anybody really, to have a good ending, to end well, and to feel that you've had that closure of that place. Um, that had been a big part of your life, because you spend 5 days a week, most, if you work full time at work. You're
Mm.
there a lot, you're speaking to colleagues a lot, you probably speak to them more than your family. um Possibly, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the kind of job you
Yeah,
have. Yeah,
yeah, totally.
absolutely.
But you're there a lot, so it's that routine. It takes sort of taking something away, and I think it's really important to have that closure. And when I was sort of last made redundant, and I got up in the morning the next day, and I was like, right, what do I do now? I need to make my own routine. And I find it really difficult to, obviously, I was looking for jobs. It's very draining. You're having to write about a previous workplace that has caused quite a lot of trauma, because redundancy is a trauma. And people don't always recognize that sort of is a trauma. You're going through grief as well because of loss.
Yeah.
So that was very
Mm.
difficult. So you get up in the day trying to create your routine. So I was like, well, what do I do? What do I do now? And I was writing job applications, getting interviews, but not always getting interviews, and there was lots of recruitment processes that weren't inclusive, and it was very, very difficult in lots of ways. And I think one day I just sat down and I was like, "Oh, what else is me? Like, okay, I'm Alice. What is more to me? What am I other than work? What?" Because I felt that my life was my
Mm.
work, because that was my routine. That's what I did every day. And I just sat down one day and I was like, "Well, what else can I do?" And I was like, "Well, actually, I play music, and music is it's not work. I'm not, I'm not. I do it for fun. It is somebody's job. A lot of my friends are like professional musicians, so it can be somebody's job. But for me, it's fun. It's something I do. It's a hobby, and it's something that I could do that isn't work, and that can give me those moments of joy. But also, for music for me, it helped me create a routine. And there's regular sessions I go to, both online and in person, and I still do now. Um, I've met lots of people, I've made friends, and it's become a real community. And
Mm.
I don't think that I would have got through my redundancy or the last year, as I'm slowly going through a possible redundancy process again, without music in my life and without those people who have really, really become part of my routine.
Mm. Yeah.
And it would be really strange if I didn't go to a Thursday night session, for example. I play folk music, so it's lots of informal sessions. Folk music is very much around everybody getting together, and it's a very social thing, and it's very, very inclusive because anybody can join in,
Mm.
and it doesn't matter what ability level you are. There's something that you can do, um, and that's why I've always been drawn to folk music, because it was inclusive. It was, and everybody in folk music is a little bit new, not a little bit. That you don't say a little bit anything, but I take that back. But yeah, I've got this theory that a lot of people in folk music are neurodivergent because it attracts difference, and it attracts people who um
Mm. Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
be part of, like, you find your tribe. um so yeah,
Yeah.
so this is
Yeah.
that's kind of been my life the last few years, is making sure that I make time for music. Because otherwise, who are you? Like, who are you without your pockets of joy? Little things that make
Absolutely.
you happy.
Yeah.
And that's what I really
Mm.
realized, that yes, okay, I did have to apply for jobs, I did have to do all this stuff, but really, is that making me happy? Yes, work sort of pays the bills and you have to have a job, but to get through it all, and to get through the uncertainty, and to get through the lack of routine, what I did is I created a routine with music that wasn't anything about work, and it really worked for me.
That's
Um,
really great. That's really awesome. I love that. And I think that's what I like. Everyone needs that. I think, like, even if you're not neurodivergent, you need that. I think I have this great online community that I'm part of, and I have this little group within that community that I meet with once every week, every Saturday evening on Zoom, and we just talk about anything. Like, we talk about movies a lot because we all love movies. We talk about like all sorts of different things, but it's just a safe place where we can
yeah.
just hang out. And I've been doing that for 4 or 5 years now.
Mm.
And then there's this other monthly call which we do with a slightly larger group, which again is just like it feeds my soul. And we had one last night, and it's a wonderful space, safe space, like a chosen family,
Yeah.
and we're all different people, but like we're all on a kind of similar journey,
Yeah.
and it's wonderful. And the other thing that I've found a lot in the last few years is, uh, especially the last couple of years, is that I've got more into engaging with like people online who are into movies and into superheroes, because that's
Mhm.
my thing, right? And Doctor Who, like, and again, I feel like I feel like a lot of people who are into kind of geekdom, like movies, or whether it's like Lord of the Rings or Doctor
You
Who
will
or
find they're neurodivergent.
superheroes, like there's a
Yeah.
lot of neurodivergent people in those
Yeah.
communities, and it's partly because we resonate with those characters, because a lot of those characters are outsiders
Mm.
and people who feel a bit like who are different, from everybody else, and so you kind of feel solidarity a little bit, and that becomes your safe place. And it's not for everyone,
Yeah.
but that's one thing that I know that neurodivergent people do a lot, and a lot of people that I know in those communities are neurodivergent, and and that can be quite cool. In fact, actually, I have this theory that in the recent Superman movie, Superman was played neurodivergent, and I think the actor who played him was neurodivergent. I don't know that for sure, but I have a
Mm.
feeling that that is the case. Certainly,
Mm.
it was very played very much as like a neurodivergent Superman to me,
Yeah,
and that because he's my favorite superhero, that made a lot of difference to me. You know, I feel a lot of solidarity, and I feel a lot of like, not being alone, kind of thing.
yeah.
You know, and
And you're right when you talk about safety and it's finding a safe space. And yes, there can be work can be a safe space for some people, but for a lot of people it isn't.
mhm,
And when you start a new job, you don't know if it's going to be safe. They might
yeah,
have a shiny policy on their website about inclusion and talk about how they embrace diversity and they have all the right words. Everybody has the right words. Words cost nothing, but actually action. Can you actually
exactly.
demonstrate that what you say? Can you practice what you preach?
Yeah,
And you
exactly.
really only find that out when you get there.
Yeah,
And you
the
know,
next time I get interviewed for a job, that's going to be a question that I have. Like, you say you do this, what do you actually do? Like,
yeah,
like how do you actually treat people's members of staff who are neurodivergent or who or have ADHD or etc. Like, what do you actually do to support them? Like, you know, because because like you say, it's easy for anyone to say, "Oh yeah, we're inclusive," blah 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 blah, and put that on their website. But like, you've got to actually follow it up with actions, or it's meaningless.
exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it is that finding that safety outside of work. And what my sort of 2 jobs ago, my manager was wonderful and kind of why I sort of wrote my book really because she was so great and she was so supportive and she was my safe person at work. And then when I lost that job, it was devastating because I was like, I hadn't just lost a job, but I'd lost the person that I felt most safe with at work. And that was kind of for sort of one of the first times in my life when I really did feel safe at work too. So it was a
Mhm.
big loss. And yeah, when you start a new job, you have to work out who you can talk to, who feels safe.
Mm. Yeah,
Um, and yeah,
exactly.
so
Yeah.
it's and in the meantime, it's really important to find those other spaces, like you say, like you enjoy your films and your superheroes and the things that you enjoy, and that sort of brings you joy.
Yeah.
And everybody will have places and spaces that bring them joy, um, that feel safe and they can feel that they can be themselves. And that's really important to me. I think, it's cliche or bring your whole selves to work or wherever all these spaces, but actually, I don't really want to be anybody else. I do want to be myself. And a lot of people feel that they have to hide or, like
Mhm.
you said earlier, sort of mask or put on a front to be accepted and to be included
Mhm.
and for their voice to have value and for people to listen to you. But like, I'm Alice and I'm a little bit daft and I say some I hyper focus on the most bizarre things, and yeah, there's things like sort of like, yeah, currently my current hyper focus is researching flamingos, which is I know.
No,
um
I never think it. I never laugh at people for hyperfocus stuff because I've had weird hyperfocus stuff too. Like,
but
and it's just like out of nowhere, you just stop.
yeah,
Like, it starts with like some random thing you see on TV or something, and then you Google it, and then you start, and then you go down a rabbit hole, and it's like it just goes like all over the place. And
exactly,
suddenly
yeah, the
you spend
Google rabbit
hours.
hole.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly. You spend hours looking into this thing that you had no interest in a few hours ago. Like, and
Yeah,
you know all
yeah,
about it. It's a really really strange
yeah.
thing.
So like
Fun.
people I sort of in these communities, I discuss they share my hyper focus and they get very excited about what I'm researching and research with me, and it's great and it's lovely and it's lovely to have those kind of friends who are um as excited about me as me as the about the weirdest things sometimes, but it's great, and yeah, we have fun, but it's being yourself is really really hard when you have to also be professional at work and
Hmm.
um
Yeah.
be seen to doing a good, especially when you're in a probation period and you're under a lot of pressure to show that you can do the job, show that you're doing a good job, show that you know what you're doing. Um, and that can be hard. But what I've learned is honesty is really important. And to say, and I say, oh, To be honest, haven't got time to do that, or to say no. If you
Mm.
can't do something or there isn't physical enough time in the day, I found it really empowering to say, sorry, I'll have to do that next week, or haven't got time to fit that in today. But that is
Mm.
really, really hard to say, especially when you're new to a job. It's
Yeah,
not
it
easy.
is. It's very difficult. Yeah. Uh, yeah, because you're trying to prove yourself and you're trying to show you can do things. And like, yeah, I think that's a struggle for anyone, but it's definitely a neurodivergent struggle because, yeah, because you're trying to fit in, especially, like, even more so.
Yeah,
And, I can't, and I haven't told everyone at my work that I'm neurodivergent. My boss knows. Uh, and I presume that the bosses above him probably know, but I haven't told everyone, and and that's a safety thing, I guess. I mean, it's not. I'm in the office twice a week, so I have I live limited physical time with the people that I work with, but so it does make it easier. But I wouldn't feel safe to tell someone unless I knew
yeah,
they were a safe person, like um, and so because there's a lot of ignorance out
yeah.
there, and
And
prejudice.
especially with the media and what's going on in the media at the moment, and a lot of
Yeah,
awful awful things are being said about neurodivergent people, and um, without mentioning any names, but I think we all know who we're talking about.
yeah, absolutely,
People
yeah,
people talking about how what causes autism, for example, is the
yeah.
latest thing that's been flying around
That
social
that
media.
yeah, that enraged me so much. Not just for myself, but because I've got lots of friends and family who are neurodivergent, and although it wouldn't affect family here, it might affect family that are in the States, and I've got friends in the States and who are neurodivergent and stuff, I was just incandescent. I couldn't believe that somebody in that position was saying that without any evidence to back it up.
Yeah,
Like none of the evidence. There's no evidence that supports that, and it was pretty quickly put down by medical experts as well,
yeah.
which was very positive. But
But
yeah,
it shows you, a little bit of power,
yeah,
the damage and the you can do to so many people's lives, and that's the thing.
mm,
It's sort of 10 years ago, um, even 5 years ago, we're so much further ahead of understanding and support and recognition, and diagnosis, and a lot of especially women and girls have been underdiagnosed for years.
hmm
Because it just wasn't recognised. ADHD was something that was sort of naughty 8 year old boys running around a classroom. If you don't fit that stereotype, well, you can't have ADHD. Well, it turned out that I did, and got a diagnosis in my 30s. But at the time,
hmm
it wasn't picked up on at school at all. So yeah, so there's a lot of people understanding what neurodivergent is, but also there's a lot of misconceptions and misunderstanding
hmm
um,
yeah,
of how to support us too. So there's two things that we're trying to navigate our way through, and that's really difficult when you're also dealing with uncertainty, redundancy, big life changes, whether that's moving house, whether that's I don't know, having a child, going through divorce, whatever it is. There's lots of they say there's five most stressful moments you could experience in your life, and one of them losing your job.
hmm
Um,
yeah,
and one of them is, I think, yeah, grief and bereavement, all that. So there's lots of different changes that can impact you. And if you, are neurodivergent, you experience RSD, which I didn't really understand until fairly recently, because it's
yeah,
not something that, it's only fairly recently people have been talking about what RSD is and how
yeah. I
it can
mean,
impact people as well.
I've had quite a lot of experience with it now. I've had it for. I've recognised I've had it for quite a long time now.
Hmm.
Uh, Rejection sensitive dysphoria is for people who don't know, and it really is kind of essentially uh, that you can take like any kind of, you can interpret things as rejection which are not rejection, but uh, it's basically like you're very very sensitive to rejection or criticism, and can feel this very very deeply, and it and it's kind of some, and for me, like one of the ways I experienced it was when people didn't reply to my messages for a long time, like outside of the time that they normally reply, I would get triggered, and I would think that they were rejecting me personally, that they didn't like me, or that I'd done something to offend them, or that they were just treating me badly. And it certainly early on, when I didn't really realize what it was, it could lead to meltdowns. It could lead
Yeah.
to really depressive episodes, and unfortunately, because I didn't recognize what it was, I didn't know what was going on. In a couple of cases, it ended up with me losing friendships over it, because what happens is it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So they're not rejecting you, but because you think they are, you treat them like they are, and then they reject you anyway. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so I had to learn to recognize the triggers for that. And my sister and my wife especially, like, understand that now. Like, so, like, if they're not going to be able to, if they're not going to be contactable for a while, they tell me beforehand so that I know not to expect them to reply to messages, even if they've seen them, like, for quite a while. Because if I send a message and it's seen and then people don't reply for a long time, and I don't know what the reason is, that can be triggering. That can feel
Mm.
like a rejection, even though I may consciously know that it's not, and I may be able to control my own behaviour. At this point, I wouldn't have been able to a few years ago, but now I can. Especially if it's someone like I trust, like my wife.
Yeah.
I could just think, oh, something's happened. Something. She's been delayed, or there's no signal, or the phone's gone dead, or something's happened. Like, because I trust her, and uh, but if it was somebody else who I didn't know so well, then I'd have to be, I'd have to put my phone down and not react to it, because if I react to it, I might do something I regret. But that's what happens when the RSD can control you. It's like, because you feel like you have been personally rejected and intentionally rejected, uh, whether you have or not. A lot of the time you haven't, but you can definitely feel like that. And I have abandonment trauma anyway,
Yeah.
which just adds to that, right? So yeah, it's a very real thing, and a lot of people have it, and I suspect some people don't realize they have it, uh, because if you can understand it, and you can understand what triggers it in yourself, you can build structures in your life to help you manage your responses to it, so that you don't cause harm, and don't lose friendships, and don't push people away, and don't react to it like in a way that is unhealthy. So yeah, it's a real thing for sure, and we're still learning more about it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There's definitely needs to be more research in this area. It's that one bit more under researched, generally, isn't it? But yeah, I think sort of RSD for me is sort of, well, around redundancy is, even if people tell you, oh, it's not you, it's the role, or it's not about you, it's very very much about me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I feel rejected, and that's the thing. I think that it's feeling that you're not good enough, feeling that you somehow done something wrong,
Hmm.
even if it is just because they're not under funding to employ you, which is essentially why most people are made redundant. It's not, you're not being sacked, it's not your fault, but you still feel rejected. You still feel that you should have done something um, to prevent that from happening. And I think sort of in my personal life, like you say, sort of messages and things. If if I haven't heard from somebody, I'll think the worst. I'm good at catastrophizing, um,
Yeah.
and sort of thinking, thinking of the worst possible scenario. And we talk about safe spaces. One of my rejection things is fear of rejection. So it hasn't happened, but I'm worried that suddenly it won't be there anymore, and that
Yeah.
the place where so I need quite a bit of reassurance from people sometimes to say, and they sort of reassure me, yeah, we'll always be here, it's fine, don't worry, Alice. I'm like, oh, okay. And it's that kind of, oh, it's fine, it's a safe space, it's not going to go anywhere. You're all
Yeah,
right, you're all good. But
exactly. Yeah.
you do need to have those relationships with people to have those conversations, and that's
Yeah.
not always easy.
Yeah, I know. It's important to build those you know support networks in your life.
Yeah,
I'm very lucky that I've managed to build those. So I have like this network, this group of people that every time something really bad happens, I'll message them. Like that includes my therapist, and
yeah,
but also some close friends. And they will always, and they generally always show up for me and
yeah.
encourage me and support me, and if I need to talk, they'll we'll do a Zoom call or something. Like, and my wife is part of that as well. Like, her and living with her has been much better. Like, because we weren't able to live together for the first year of our marriage because immigration stuff and being in different countries and stuff, and it was
I think immigration just destroy. Yeah, that's another
yeah.
topic. Just
And like now we're living together. It
yeah,
helped a lot
yeah,
because even if I can't talk to anybody else, I can talk to her, and she'll always be supportive. She's very very understanding of my RSD and everything like that. So yeah. I that's one thing. I know that I'm very fortunate in having that support network. And it took me a while to be able to build it because like I used to. I mean, I still struggle building relationships, but not as much as I used to. I used to find it really hard to
yeah,
trust people enough to not to feel safe enough with people to be vulnerable. So for me to be able to find those people who all know, I have autism, know that know that I'm autistic, know that I have ADHD, know that I have RSD, and some of them have experienced the same things as well. Uh, it's really, really helpful to have those people, like, because I can just vent basically. I can just get all my feelings out, and then they'll be there, and yeah. So I really, really would encourage people to try and, as hard as you can, to build those networks. And it doesn't have to be many people. It can be like 3 or 4 people
yeah.
who are like on your WhatsApps or whatever, or Messenger or whatever. You can just message whenever you're triggered, whenever you're feeling down, whenever you're like, and just say I'm struggling, I'm triggered X Y Z or whatever, and just they can offer some words of support or encouragement and
Yeah.
remind you that you're not abandoned and you're not forgotten and you've not been
All those
rejected.
negative words that can swim around your head. I think it's that grounding. It's somebody to ground you. If you struggle to do that yourself, or finding ways that you can ground yourself, like listening to music or reading a book or whatever it might be. I think it's really
Absolutely.
important as well. Just like finding those interests that it might be for you, it might be watching a film. You know,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. Yeah, that's sometimes when I'm feeling a bit down and stuff, and even when I've got messages of support, I'll watch a movie just to escape into it for a bit. Something I
yeah,
don't have to think about, but it's just enjoyable.
yeah.
And that definitely helps. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
also another thing I've learned is to have, like you say, it's really important to have, more than one person that you rely on or you
mhm.
speak to or you go to. I think because it could, I'm very, very conscious as I've got older of not emotionally burdening other people. So I'm lucky, I think, in some ways that I do have a good network of friends and family, and there's lots of different people that I talk to about lots of different things. And it means that I'm not just relying on going to one person. So if they're not available, I don't feel a rejection that, oh, they're not speaking to me. Why are they not speaking to me? Well, it probably is because they're busy. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right. Yeah, and when you trust someone, you can deal with them not getting back to you. Like, I mean, one of my closest friends has been through a lot of grief this year. Uh, I didn't hear from them for a while, and all I did was, I mean, all I did was just check in to see if they were okay, and I wasn't expecting an instant reply. I assumed that something wasn't right, and then they told me later on what had happened. and yeah, but that takes time to build up to that level of safety with somebody where
Yeah.
you can, like, when like their routine gets disrupted, when they don't message when they normally message, or they don't reply as quickly as they normally do, or whatever. Like at the beginning of a friendship, that's more difficult to navigate. Once you've built trust and you've established a friendship, that becomes a little bit easier because you feel safer with that person and you know that person cares about you, and that they're not deliberately ignoring you.
Yeah.
And it also helps having a good therapist, I will say as well, to be able to talk about these things with them and process them with, because I've been able to
Yeah.
talk about my rejection sensitive dysphoria with my therapist and do some work on it,
Yeah.
which also helped me a lot. And I recommend everyone to have therapy if you need.
I
I
can
know it's not
yeah.
easy, and I know
I
it's
agree with that. I think that everybody should have a therapist, or go through have therapy maybe. Yeah, or speak to have somebody have a professional space where somebody who doesn't know you socially isn't going to tell you what to do, or give you advice, or give you um yeah, that you might not need. Somebody who can listen to you and support you through practical strategies. I think it's really important to have that other space away from friends and family.
mm,
It is vital, really.
yeah.
Yeah, I've been through lots of different therapy. Some of
I
them
mean,
great, some of them not great. So, sort of in my life
yeah,
since I was a teenager, and I
I've had
think it's really
three.
important.
I've had three therapists, and one of them, I think two of them were autistic. Uh, my last therapist was an autistic therapist who specialised in doing therapy for autistic people, and she's been a guest on this podcast as well, and she was amazing. My current therapist uh, is is neurodivergent and has neurodivergent family members. I won't say who they are,
Yeah, of course.
but so that helps, There's some understanding of that, which really makes a difference, And there is more, especially amongst professionals. I think there is more awareness and knowledge about autism and ADHD now than there was. And there's even new things been coming out all the time, even recently, and things that I'm still learning about neurodivergence, and it's all really helpful. So
Yeah,
I know that a lot of neurodivergent people listen to this show, so I just want to remind those who are neurodivergent that you're not alone. There's a lot of
yeah,
people out here who are in going through the same thing and have the same challenges, and there is support out there, and there are people out there that you
yeah,
can talk to, and you're definitely not alone in your
yeah.
experience, and it's important to remember that.
Yeah, I can sort of reinforce that, and just and find your pockets of joy. You know, find things that bring you joy, and things that you love, and people that you love to be around, to help you navigate the uncertainty and challenges that you might face in your life as well. I think that's really, really important to hold on to that.
Absolutely,
Well, but
absolutely,
yeah,
yeah. Find those pockets of joy. Find what brings you joy, and make sure you do it.
yeah,
And find communities that bring you joy. Like, I feel like, yeah, you might be into music, or you might be into a type of music, or you might be into movies or books or whatever it is. Like, find that thing and find communities uh, around those things,
yeah,
because that's also how you can find healthy community and support networks. So, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Well, this
Great.
has been great, Alice. I've
Thank
really
you very
enjoyed
much.
this. And your book is still out, isn't it?
It's still so neurodiversity in the workplace. It is available on Amazon or any bookshop, or from my publisher, Trigger Publishing. Um,
Fantastic, and it is a good book. I've read it, so it's
Thank you. Yeah.
I can
Yep.
definitely recommend it. I would definitely get that. Especially, I mean, not just if you're neurodiverse, but if you have a colleague or a friend or whatever that's neurodiverse, or you manage people in your workplace who are neurodiverse. It's a really important book. So definitely check that out. And
I wrote it for everyone, so that everybody can benefit in some way, I hope.
absolutely. And we also talked about that book in more detail in our last episode together, which will be on your podcast platform if you just go through my list of episodes, it'll be there. And that's a really good episode as well. So, yes, thank you, Alice, and
Thank
we'll
you very
have you
much.
back definitely. I'm sure there's more we can talk about. So,
Always more. I always have
and
many ideas. I have too many ideas and not enough time to do them. That's my problem.
yeah,
But
and you're on socials as well, right?
yeah,
Are you on?
I'm on Blue
TikTok?
Sky, Facebook. I have a Facebook page. If you just search Alice Hewson, writer author on Facebook. Um, I'm also about on LinkedIn. Just so my name is Alice Hewson. And my website, which has a link to all of my socials, is alicehewson.com. And you'll find all the information about what I do there as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. Check all those things out. Yes, thank you, Alice, and thanks for listening, everyone.